Greetings everyone, I am the Hipster Snek, and to be honest, one of my latest Let's Plays kind of blew me away with a response, and that was Sonic Forces. There was a lot of discussion in the comments, and I say that in the sense of a lot in one of my videos anyway, and I was shocked that most of you not only agreed with the points that I raised, but you raised a lot of really great ones too. Like, a lot, honestly. That got the old Snek noggin joggin'. How would I go about fixing Sonic Forces? Let's explore this idea together, shall we? For those who don't already know, Sonic Forces is a 2017 game developed firsthand by Sonic Team and Sega. It was released on all then-current platforms, including the Nintendo Switch, PS4, Xbox One, and PCs. It was launched as one of two games to celebrate Sonic's 25th anniversary, alongside Sonic Mania. Now, I have opinions on that game too, but that's a video for another day, so let's table that discussion for now. Man, I still get hate comments for riffing on that one Digimon fighting game or Metabots AX. I really don't want to kick the hornet nest that is the Sonic fandom having a go at me too. So, that said, the game was, let's just say that the reviews were a bit mixed when it launched. The game is short enough that if you skip all the cutscenes, it can be cleared in the Steam refund window, and the level design is very boost to win. A lot of things felt very slapdash and haphazard. So let's break it down good and proper. Starting with what they did right. Okay, right off the bat, soundtrack, solid gold. First off, getting Hoobastank's Douglas Robb to write the title theme Fist Bump was just glorious. That's fully embracing the 90s zeitgeist that gave rise to the Blue Blur in the first place. Just magnificent. And it doesn't end there. The entire OST is genuinely fantastic stuff. Seriously, Arsenal Pyramid and Luminous Forest are just two absolutely outstanding pieces. Though my personal favorites are actually the vocal tracks used for the player avatar levels, which help give it some perspective to what our fan-made furry might well be feeling. Nowhere to Run and Justice spring to mind here, but all of them are excellent. Mechanically, modern Sonic's levels feel the most polished and generally are the most engaging when they aren't cleared in 20 seconds. The player avatar's ability to use different weapons themed on the alien wisps is a nice touch, but more on that shortly. Actually, the avatar is pretty fun, especially because Sega leaned into some rather amusing memes like having Sonic t-shirts or references to other Sega games like Monkey Ball, Nights into Dreams, or Persona 5. Playing dress-up between stages was a real highlight for me, and several of the boss fights are pretty fun. They make for a solid highlight reel for sure. Sega's voice cast is, of course, on the ball with their characters as usual. Roger Craig Smith is, of course, knocking it out of the park as Sonic himself. I feel like just saying that is practically redundant at this point, but hey, praise where it's due. Related, a lot of the game's more humorous moments are actually funny, like Tails talking about Eggman having 10 terabytes of selfies on his hard drives. Which is kind of funny in its own right, given some stuff I'll hit on here shortly, but hey, details. And that about does it. Let's get into the part you guys want to hear. What they did wrong. Oh boy, here goes. Let's try not to make this video longer than the game itself, shall we? Yeah, the game is short, to the point of it being actually kind of pointless given its original $60 USD price tag. Yet paradoxically, it feels hopelessly fluffed out with the inclusion of classic Sonic. The classic stages are the low point of the game bar none, which is saying something as I was impressed with Sonic Generation's classic remixes like City Escape or Crisis City for example. But here, they feel like they got forced in so they could ride on Generations and, more importantly, Mania's recent successes. This should have been a budget title, or at least treated as something less grandiose in scope. I got the game on sale, but remember, Sonic fans are, let's say, passionate. Anyway, on to the in-game gripes. The Phantom Ruby as a plot element was weird and confusing in Mania, where it was just another magic rock that just shows up and just inexplicably did things that story demanded. And then Forces has prototypical Phantom Rubies just lying around, and they only work for whoever first activates them, but it's all in your head and none of it's real. What is this storyline? Have you heard how many times I just used the word just now? This plot is madness. Even stranger were some changes made to the English script, brought to my attention by astute comment maker Budget Coin Hunter, whereupon they added the note that Sonic was being quote-unquote tortured for the early leg of the plot. When we find Sonic, he's perfectly fine, just contained to a small cell, somehow. He's even ready to engage in a boss fight the instant he's out. How Eggman kept him in a cell, I don't know, given this guy can move at speeds that shatter solid steel robots in a single hit. I assume Sonic must have just felt bad and just decided to camp out for a little while and let Eggman revel in his delusions about conquering the world or something. Oh yeah, about that. How did Eggman conquer the world? No, seriously, this whole thing makes no sense. Sonic, Tails, Knuckles, even Amy kind of sorta soloed him, and she has the worst mechanics in Sonic Adventure. I mean, she's decently playable in Heroes, at least, but that's besides the point. Eggman is this universe's ultimate jobber, but he removes one of the furries who wreck his plans on a weekly basis and suddenly everyone just gives up? Or has the pity for the rotund scientist reached fever pitch and now everyone is just telling Eggman he won even though nothing's actually changed? I don't know what to make of this. This just makes no sense. He's a bit too young to be going senile is what I'm saying. Anyway, we're still in the game's opening 10 minutes, so let's get on with it. Forces also makes it a choice to try to be Generations 2, in the sense that it tries to do this revisit levels of games past, and honestly, it's with all my goodwill that I say this, stop doing this, Sega. I don't want to go to Green Hill or Chemical Plant Zone anymore. Having a 3D remake of Green Hill as an unlockable stage in Sonic Adventure 2 for 100% completion was really cute. Doing a series-long retrospective for Generations is laudable. Now stop. If I want to play old Sonic, I'll just play old Sonic. I want new Sonic to be new. It's part of what made Sonic Colors incredible. It felt like it hadn't all been done before. And a lot of the revisitation isn't fun in this case. Classic Sonic stages, as mentioned, feel clunky and unwelcome. They struggle with the same problems 2D Sonic has always had, the inability to see the ground 10 paces in front of me. And then it gets a whole slew of new issues, including player hostile architecture. It's not challenging, it's just annoying, and it wastes a lot of time. Again, this is actually kind of impressive for a 2-hour-long game. And it bites into a big chunk of time that could be spent as the Avatar, that thing that the game hypes up so much. The way you could be Sonic's BFF by proxy, that thing, kind of a big deal. You barely use them. This is such a misstep, especially in a game like this. The player avatar, called Buddy in story, is supposed to be the driving force, even the one who rescues modern Sonic from the illogical imprisonment. And speaking of new characters, I gotta touch on Infinite. He is generic, emo edge personified. I genuinely don't know if his theme song, the self-titled track Infinite, is the best or worst song of the OST, and it might be both. But he just smolders and talks so much trash for this dude who gets punked every single time he shows up, and then just melts away as an afterthought when Eggman just gets tired of dealing with him. It's just funny to me. Also, no, I don't care what the comics did with him. IDW is not canon and it never will be. But yeah, the entire game's a mess front to back, which leads to the all-important question. How do we fix it? Is Sonic Forces beyond all hope? Oh, heavens, no. Sonic has had much worse outings, and yet fans have gone to great lengths to make things like Sonic 06 and the Sonic Colors remake playable. If they can do that, Forces is almost easy by comparison. So to begin with, I'm going to suggest something rather wild here, but hear me out. First, remove Classic Sonic entirely. He has no real role in the game or the story, so his inclusion really shan't be missed. But here's where I plan to derail things a bit. Remove modern Sonic as well. What? I hear you cry out, perplexed, perhaps angered by this blasphemy? Follow my lead here. Sonic Forces should have been a game about Buddy, not Sonic. A guidance story game. Imagine this. Sonic and Co. realize there's this new Death Egg, right? That's part of the story, I forgot to mention that. So, what do? They gather the Chaos Emeralds to counter the Phantom Rubies, as seen in Mania, and they head for the Death Egg. Sonic, Tails, Knuckles, Amy, etc. are now all off-world. Eggman sees an opportunity and always has machines in reserves. He literally says as much in the game. He launches an invasion, perhaps led by Metal Sonic, or maybe even Phantom Ruby copies of other villains. Not Zavok. Nuts to that guy. The generic furries of the Earth don't know what to do without their heroes, and thus quickly fall apart before the Eggman Empire. Thus, a lone rogue hero, Buddy, rises up from amidst the furry riffraff. One little weirdo with a wire gun and much bigger, much less useless collections of Wispens. And this point is important, so hear it clearly. More customization options. Why is the only non-mammal option in this game a stinking bird anyway? Now that's a complaint for now, but seriously, the buddy needs more, and I mean a lot more options in terms of their customization. More animals, more passive abilities, more everything. Make the game about Buddy. Allow us deeper, more robust options, and then build all levels, ideas, motifs around Buddy. There's absolutely no need for Sonic. As long as he's mentioned in the background details, that's all we'll really need. Then, use that as the stage for why there's a Resistance army and an Eggman Empire army going to war. Next, take that little thing, that little gauge, down there, marked boost, take it, and throw it out the window. Look, I get it. Unleashed basically saved you guys from being dissolved and being tossed into the bay by the actual Yakuza thugs that you keep hiring to promote your games, but holy crap, these levels are too short and too easily trivialized by boost-to-win level design. Make the levels more like colors. Make them thoughtful, purposeful. Make the Red Ring hunt feel like a treasure hunt and have multiple paths over each. Don't just make a 30-second time trial and shrug and assume that your job as level designer is over, because it's not. You can even do the 3D to 2D and back bits that you seem to like so much. Buddy can work fine in both. They already do, so long as their Wispins and Wire Attack function more or less the same way in both. Heck, if you really want to blow people away, consider this. Co-op multiplayer with multiple avatar characters. Want to make a follow-up to Sonic Superstars and Forces at the same time? Bam! Easy victory lap. At this point, you have two avenues. Short, but more numerous levels, or just longer levels. I don't think Force's conservative level count is, in itself, the issue. If I haven't drilled the point in quite adequately, it's the fact that they take less time to play than they do to load in some cases. Just make more game. Heck, with Buddy and the avatars as your heroes, you're not even ball and chained to the retro nostalgia chic. Do whatever you want. Bring in your craziest ideas and just roll with them. Heck, if you really want to do that nostalgia thing, not that you should mind, you can make it a point to reference stuff players may not even expect. What about levels from Sonic CD, Knuckles Chaotix, the Game Gear games? Dare I even suggest the Storybook series? Embrace weirdness. This would absolutely be your chance to do it. But honestly, I'd rather see original ideas. I'm just parsing out some possibilities. If you do this, not only would fans eat it up, you'd have an entire new side series of Sonic games that you could do. The sequels make themselves at that point. So I'll stop ranting and kind of wrap it up now. What'd you guys think? Did I strike the heart of the matter? Would you change any of my ideas? Add to them? Let me know what you think, and what kind of Sonic OC you would make. I think you guys know full well what I'd make. Obviously, it would be a turtle. Obviously. Anyway, this has been the Sonic Snek, talking about how to fix this lackluster Sonic installment. Let me know what you thought. If you're still listening, make sure you do that like, comment, subscribe combo down below. That helps me out more than I can say. And thanks for watching to the end, you absolute legends. That said, join me here 5 days a week for Let's Plays, reviews, specials, and more. And I will see you there.